Earth, our home. This pale blue dot floating endlessly through space acts as a haven for 7 billion people today. Once filled with bountiful resources and blue skies for eons, our planet has recently taken a turn for the worse. Our planet functions much as a living organism on its own, with biogeochemical processes existing in order to maintain balance, whether it be to protect our climate, food chain and biodiversity of life, or cycle water or important chemical nutrients. As humans, we have developed a unique connection and understanding of our role as part of this Earth system, especially within the last few centuries. Our impact as a species on our environment has too greatly damaged our relationship with our planet, and risks our future to a point where the Earth can no longer support our ever-growing needs. Which is to say that creating more room for the desires of our expanding population will only serve to harm ourselves and future generations to come. It is key to better understand the environmental impacts of our economic and social actions, and what we are to do when faced with adversity. With a higher population comes the issue of greater resource consumption. The continued trend of lifestyle and production in the modern world becoming more and more complicated has its toll on what nature can provide. Take our reserves of fossil fuels, for example. With projections based on our current consumption, we could be seeing the depletion of our existing reserves of natural gas and oil in the next 50 years. Meaning as university students, this will affect us within our lifetime. Our generation will be faced with the inevitable questions in how we manage these resources. In 20 years, humans are expected to use 40% more water than we do now, and yet freshwater scarcity is already a problem affecting a third of the global population. It is important to understand that our staggering resource consumption is not only an issue in the foreseeable future, but is something that is harming us now and only continues to grow. Right now, 805 million people around the world still struggle with obtaining the food they need for everyday life, where 13.5% is undernourished, according to the UN World Food Organization. These numbers will only expand as our population grows an extra 2 billion in 40 years. Research expansions for agriculture practices are dire, yet remain underfunded. The other main concern is the world water shortage. 785 million people do not have access to clean water, despite 70% of the world being covered by it. The main problem is that only 2.5% of that is freshwater, most of which is still frozen in glaciers, inaccessible for human consumption. Alternative energy sources such as wind and solar are great at getting around the problem of non-renewable resources such as fossil fuels. However, they are not sufficiently meeting our ever-increasing demand for energy, despite our efforts to improve. About 2/3 of the electricity generated in the United States is from fossil fuels, such as natural gas, coal, and petroleum. While alternative energy sources do undeniably help solve our problem of non-renewability, and we should continue to support them, many of these options can be too expensive and not economically feasible. For example, transportation from planes, ships, and cars are almost exclusively powered by these fossil fuels. We need to learn how to cut back on our consumption of these fuels and understand the consequences when they inevitably run out. Environmental concerns are certainly not new to us either. Available evidence does not point towards hope for a better future. The dismaying statistics on constant rise in global temperature and greenhouse gas emissions undoubtedly stems from our overstressed industrialized society. Take the meat market, for example. Livestock production accounts for 18% of global greenhouse gas emissions, and 37% of methane gas emissions worldwide, according to the Livestock Environmental and Development Initiative, LEAD. The rate of meat consumption continues to rise with a growing population and mass production scale. Consequently, we are paying a large cost to increasing meat intake by abusing our land, with 8% of agricultural land used for humans and clearing rainforests to grow soybeans for livestock consumption. The disappointing fact is that with our growing population, the livestock population will in turn increase, further causing mass deforestation resulting in natural habitat loss and greenhouse gas emissions. The support of local ranches, which would help reduce some of these environmental costs, would also positively impact the price of meat raised through ethical land use and minimal impact on our environment. In the coming years, it is crucial that all humanity at large has a baseline understanding of how our collective actions influence a forever changing environmental landscape. From seemingly inconsequential everyday life choices to industrial oversights, nearly all our actions will have impacts on future society in some form. With a great increase in global affluence over the years, the desire for economic parity between the developed and developing world is causing even more economic and environmental strain, which enables more people to live a lavish lifestyle. We need to better educate ourselves on potential consequences and the importance of technological advancement in making well-informed decisions. Our economy, which is driven by the exponential growth of industry and technology, relies heavily on the environment to fuel its growing demands. It is human nature to seek prosperity and growth, and while we like to think we should focus on the wealth of our people, we have the capacity to understand how our decisions will affect future generations of our own and of others. Even simple questions like "what's for dinner" can have a huge global impact. So, is our planet full? Some might say so. Luckily enough for us, you could say it's still full of the things that give us life and support for our basic needs. Whether or not it will continue to be full of these things is a question that still needs answering. It will take commitment to understand and preserve the delicate system we are part of, and know our role in it. We only have one Earth. What will you do to protect it?